everyone. This is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to episode 49. We're here live today recapping and reviewing the 6th episode of The Walking Dead in Season 7. If you're listening live, leave us a comment on Spreaker. We want to hear your thoughts on last night's episode. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and share it. Show us your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review. The podcast can be found on the Spreaker app, iTunes, Google Play Music, the Stitcher app, and more. Joining me is PCS co-host, fellow TV junkie, and indie author Lisa Orban. Also check out PCS recaps on Lisa's YouTube channel, The Talking Book. If you want to comment on something you've heard during today's episode, leave a comment here, or if you're listening on the replay, you can find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. And you can also find Lisa on Twitter at Lisa Orban Author. Hey Lisa, what's going on?
Oh, Witcher is here, and I'm not happy.
Oh, man. You know, it was actually in the high 40s here today. I was excited.
Oh, it's been raining and sleeting and cold and overcast and yucky outside.
Ugh.
So, it is
fun
a dreary
stuff.
day.
That's the Midwest for you.
Oh, just wait 10 minutes, things will change.
Oh, I know. Well, I have my wine today keeping me company because I got finished decorating the tree, and I'm like, the Christmas tree. And I'm like, I need to relax after that. That was stressful. You think decorating a tree would be fun, but this was a fiasco this year, I tell you.
I always get a real tree, so, we wait until about a week or so before Christmas.
Oh, that's so fun. We used to get real trees back when I was a kid, but I haven't had one in at least, 20 years. It's been forever.
I've never actually, since I moved back to Quincy in 90, I haven't had a fake tree.
Oh, lucky. I bet it smells so good. Except for when the worst part is taking it down and then all the pine needles everywhere and you get stuck.
But then on New Year's Eve, we set it on fire. So, at midnight.
Oh, really? That's kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
Well, you must live really in the boondocks to be able to do that legally and not get busted.
No, I live in town. I have a big fire pit area and it's nothing but rock around it. So.
Oh, okay. Because I know the police would be knocking at our door like, "What are you doing in there?"
After doing this for about 14 years, 15 years, something like that, setting the tree on fire. That first year we discovered that I don't know what people are doing wrong, but it is really hard to burn a Christmas tree. I did water this thing for 2 weeks before we took it outside, and it was all brittle and everything else, and you see all the commercials, how easy it is for them to catch fire. No, it's not. No, it's not. They lie. It's hard. Okay.
I don't know.
That first year we used bacon grease and brandy, so while the tree, we finally caught it on fire, my dogs were trying to eat the tree while it was on fire. It was a whole thing.
That could have went left.
There was a learning curve.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, that would actually make a really good zombie trap, actually. So, yeah. So that's what we're here for tonight, to be talking about zombies. We are talking about episode 6, and this was an interesting one. What do you think?
Yeah, it was, I wasn't expecting it, and mostly because, honestly, I had forgotten about Tara.
I know, we haven't seen her this whole season so far.
Well, because the last time we saw her was at the satellite station, and they took off and did, to do their little scavenging thing, and I don't know why. I guess, with everything, with all the action and all the stuff going on and everyone getting scattered, and I honestly forgot Tara existed.
Yeah. That shows you how minor her character is, because I'm in the same boat with you. I'm like, oh yeah, her. Oh yeah.
And she did actually have a bigger role in it when they were shortly after the prison, when Glenn kind of took her under her wing, or his wing, I should say. And and even last night when they were in the RV, and she made the comment that all things in this world are not lost, type thing.
Yeah. And
that was a quote from Glenn. So there's that little homage, and of course she has no idea what's going on.
I know.
She doesn't know her girlfriend's dead. And that happened so long ago. I had forget.
Well, I guess what? And it's not really that long ago, because we hear that they've been gone 2 weeks. So 5 episodes have passed, and it's only been 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, but Showtime, though, it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
It's been almost a season since we've seen her, because it was, third to the last, maybe? Was the last time, maybe like episode 9 or 10 last season was the last time we saw Tara, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So, and and so many regular characters are killed off so often. If you don't see them, and
we
they're not
just assume she
reminded
died or something. Yeah. Like, she must have died out there.
Yeah, they drove off and ran right into the Saviors or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I did find this episode interesting, though. It's interesting from the point of view that we're seeing new settlements. Mm-hmm. And I did find that these women seem to have it a little bit more together than almost any other group I've seen.
Oh, I know. I mean, to the point where they're doing arts and crafts and stuff. I'm like, they're chilling. They're like, we can.
Yeah. But I mean, it's even instead of like they had the bells that they set up to lead the zombies away, and then they have they're not yelling, they're not whistling. They have the dog clickers, click, 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 click. And that's their warning sound. Yeah. Which anyone who wasn't aware of what it was probably wouldn't even trigger.
Right.
It's not a warning sound for humans.
Right.
And so I did find that, and my first thought when I was looking around going, what boys? And then I suddenly thought, are we reenacting like the Amazon, women type thing, because they live on an island with no men, and
you know what, and I thought that was weird at first too, but when later I was doing some research on Oceanside, I realized that they were in the comics as well, but they are much further in the comics than the rest of the story, so they're really going out of order here. I guess the hardcore fans that read the comics, they were expecting this other group called the Whispers, but I guess apparently they're such an extravagant, over-the-top group that the producers are trying to hold off and push that back as far as possible because they need some ammo for next season, maybe. So instead, they brought Oceanside for it. So
interesting. Now, because again, I don't read the comics. I mean, I get most of my comic information from my nerds in my house and such. But they had never mentioned Oceanside or the Whisperers, so a completely over-the-top group, worse than, King Ezekiel over the top.
Oh, yeah. I think they're pretty bad, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what I hear anyway. I like you, I don't read the comics, but I've seen a few photos, I've seen a few drawings, and it does look pretty creepy. So, that's something to look forward to for sure.
All right. But I would also like to, I mean, some of the thoughts I had, though, is, like they told the story of how, the Saviors had come in and killed all the men and all the boys over 10. Yeah. And, so now it's shoot on sight. And while I do understand that they're keeping themselves safe for now, the fact is they're going to either have to add people or they're going to have to send women out to get pregnant and then come back.
Right.
One or the other. They're going to have to do something because otherwise it's a dead community even if there are people living there. There's just, they do have some young children, but I didn't see any children under probably the age of 6 or 7.
Oh, I know. That's going to be a bad situation. So that's probably part of the reason why they were so willing to welcome Tara and her friend, her guy friend. They're like, somebody got to hook up with someone. They're probably in the back of their mind thinking we could use a man around.
Yeah.
So,
he might be the happiest man on the earth. But,
I know. That's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, he probably could hook up with a bunch of people. That's not good.
Yeah. I mean, Oceanside is going to have to do something at some point. And I understand that fear is trying to keep them completely off the map. They don't want anyone to know they exist. And after seeing what the Saviors can do and seeing the reach that they have, I can understand that. And they were very lucky to be able to find a place like that. But they can't do it forever. Maybe, and, maybe another couple of years or so, but after that, it's going to start getting really dicey.
Mm-hmm. Well, I still almost can't even believe that Negan okayed them to kill all the men. Now, I know he was feeling vengeful after his people were taken out, but that's not very strategic. I mean, that whole group just got up and left. They were like, forget this. So what is he getting out of that,
Well, I don't think he thought that's what they would do. Yeah. I mean, let's face it. Most of the time, women are considered weak. We're the weaker sex, we need our men and whatever. Yeah. And that's just kind of the default setting that people seem to have. What a lot of people fail to realize is women work much better cooperatively together. And so when Negan killed all their men, they banded together, and I'm sure Negan expected them to cower and beg for safety and beg forgiveness.
Yep.
And do whatever he wanted, no matter what. And I think he thought that he would have a very compliant community.
Oh, yeah. He probably thought he could pick up a couple wives as well while he was at it.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, or use them as a sex camp for, his loyal followers. And of course, because we're helpless women, they would just go along with it in return for whatever safety he supposedly gives. And, and it's interesting because in a lot of the commercials, and he has said, I bring civilization, I bring safety, I am bringing, and I'm thinking, no, you're not.
Yeah, you're bringing the opposite.
Yeah. You're not, you're destroying communities, you're, taking all their weapons.
Yep.
I mean, so now, not only are they, much more vulnerable to the walkers, they're more vulnerable to other raiding parties that may not be in association with Negan.
Yeah, and how in the world can he claim to bring safety when they only come when they want to take half of their stuff?
Yeah.
Walkers come every day, and you're taking their weapons and leaving them defenseless until you decide to show up.
Right. But he's still expecting you to go out and scavenge and provide and do this, that, and the other.
With no weapons.
With no weapons. And so I mean, again, it's a very flawed system.
Yeah.
I was kind of amused with when Tara sat down and they were having dinner and they're like, that's not a ship. That's where they keep meat. And she's like, are you sure?
Yeah, she's like, I could have sworn. She's like, no. No. That was the most civilized interrogation we've ever seen. I mean,
this is true.
They're like, would you like to use the bathroom before we start? Hey, come sit at the table and eat dinner while we try to talk to you.
Yeah, it was actually, and I think the moment that they realized that Tara's group had challenged Negan, I think that was the moment where they decided Tara had to die.
Mm-hmm.
She releasing her back into the wild, so to speak, meant that at some point in time she could spill about them to someone in Negan's group. For as a bargaining chip to save her own life.
Or maybe
anything.
Not even that, but come back with her own group because her own group is dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean but it was, I did find the entire meal situation pretty funny. She's like, yeah, I lied. I lied a lot. And she was very jovial about it,
Yeah. And I think that kind of disarmed them a little bit. The way she was kind of like, whatever, it's all good. It's fine, really.
It's not a poke. Really? Yeah. So Tara is one of those that, I mean, she has, I don't know, she's very, she's an interesting character. I mean, she's not flashy. And and I hate to say it, she's not very memorable. But,
yeah.
I hate to put it that way, but she's really not. But she's solid. She's there. She's dependable. And and I think after everything that went on at the governor's, and the things that she did because the governor said so, I don't think she's ever going to be a blind follower again because of that. And,
but you know what? Because of the things you just said about her, also makes her want to have longevity. Because you're not the star, so no one's gunning for you. But you're not weak, so no one's like, let me get rid of you. So she's kind of coasting.
Yeah, I mean, she's been around for several seasons now. Since the same season when the governor was introduced.
Yep.
And so I mean, that's in Walker years, that's that's an eternity on this show.
Oh yeah.
And so, but I don't know. She hasn't gotten brittle like a lot of them have, and she's never really had a point where, like Carl and Simone, and I mean all of them.
Well, I don't know. I feel like at the end of this episode, she got to that point. When she found out Denise was dead, she was teetering until she looked at that bracelet. She kind of, she was gonna tell, and then all of a sudden she pulled it in.
But she's never had that moment. I don't think she's ever truly had that true moment of crisis. When Rick ripped the jugular out of that one guy with his bare teeth moment.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But I mean, or when Simone went back and left the group and said no, and walked back in with that group of walkers with her two, chained walkers, and she had that moment though when she realized I have become nothing but a walker as she's walking at the same pace as them and in this group, and they're completely ignoring her. And I still don't understand why they all just don't keep pet walkers at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart thing to do. I mean, maybe because they all feel that they're safe in their, prospective camps and that they don't need it. I bet, I mean, because no one's wearing blood like they are in Fear the Walking Dead. No one's wearing blood to walk out with the walkers. They're not doing all that crazy stuff that the other, people are doing. So.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if I found out that if, I carry, let a walker around by a leash, the rest of the walkers would leave me completely alone, I would have several of them just follow me around, like balloons,
Yeah, I mean, did you notice that? Well, I know you noticed it because it was like kind of one of the major, I guess, high points action-wise in the whole episode when that trap of walkers like just spilled out of that, was it cement or dirt or I'm like, oh my gosh. Sand, yes. I'm like, oh, she's pulling at that bag. I'm like, oh my goodness, something's gonna.
Now, did you flash back to her niece, the one that died because she did exactly the same thing?
No.
Because remember the little girl, her niece, the governor had taken her and her mother and left them on the beach, that one area, and said that they would be safe there. And the kid was running around, and then she was building sand castles, and then she started pulling on this thing that was stuck in the sand, and when she pulled it completely out, a walker came to and bit her.
Wow, I don't even remember that at all. Huh.
Yeah. So I flashed back right to that. I'm like, hasn't anybody learned a lesson here?
I know.
If there's a big pile of dirt, leave it alone.
Yeah. But I did like how they also kind of showed that scene in parts where we kind of see what happened while she's at the camp, because, I made some assumptions about how she got there when we saw she was on the bridge, but it was nice to know that he didn't leave her there. Yeah. That was good to know. But it was unfortunate that when she reached, the gates of Alexandria, she didn't ask about him. She didn't say, where's his car?
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah.
What happened? Then again, I mean, with everything, they may have already, he's been here and gone, or, I don't know. But because, there was a lot of information she really, Glenn is gone, and, her girlfriend is gone, and everyone is gone. And, we have, new rulers now, and the saviors, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I'm sure that was actually a lot to take in.
Ooh, I'd hate to be the one to break that news to her. Like, oh, sorry, you've missed a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, you've been gone 2 weeks and the entire world changed. So, terribly sorry. So, and she got that little bobblehead doctor doll, you know? And I was watching her look at it going, oh, you just don't know. You poor thing.
That's sad. So hopefully she's either, I don't know, it'll probably be a while before we see her again, I feel like. I mean, she'll be in the background probably crying or something, but I just don't anticipate her being like another major, forward movement in the plot for a minute, at least until we see Oceanside again, and I feel like we won't see them for a while as well.
No, I mean, because, they've made it abundantly clear, anybody steps foot there, they're going to shoot. And she didn't exactly leave on good terms.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's, I think in the back of her head, she's looking at it as a possible fallback position, if in desperation. But I don't think that's, like, it's not the top priority. I don't think she's looking around at everyone in Alexandria going, okay, everybody round up. We're going to go too.
Oh, no. I think it's going to be the other way. I think something's going to happen, and Cindy, and someone from their scouting team are going to come and try to find them. I think something's going to happen there, and they're going to seek them out at some point.
Yeah, I mean, they seem pretty self-sufficient at this point. They don't really need anyone else, and as long as they're being left alone. And it's with that bridge, and the way it looks like that bridge may be the only way, the only connection to that island.
Right.
So, I mean, from that point of view, and with the the gauntlet of walkers and everything else, they're fairly safe.
But see, just knowing the producers based on their past performance, we're not done with them. There's a purpose why we've seen them. And at some point, I mean, obviously this is making me think that it's going to be even more episodes before all these different groups collide. I mean, we have Hilltop, we have Alexandria, Oceanside, and we have the Kingdom, so all of them, they still haven't all really connected yet. Not really. So at one point, they all will. I don't know how far away that is, but they're going to connect to another group at some point.
I think there is going to be, because we have 2 more episodes left?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to predict that on the very last episode, probably in the last 10 minutes, just because that's the way how things work, that Alexandria, Hilltop, and the Kingdom will all meet up, for whatever. And I think so, and I think each of these groups, I'll bet you Hilltop actually has connections outside of themselves that is not connected to either Alexandria or the Kingdom, and I'm sure the Kingdom has contacts.
Yep.
Because we're kind of finding out that everyone kind of has their own little satellite groups, and they're not tattling on each other. If the saviors don't find them, good.
They're better, right?
Right. So they're trying to, but I think that they're gonna start kind of branching out just a little bit, and we might end up with several more little settlements here and there that may not be quite under the savior's thumb.
That's making, like, I understand why they want to do it. It's more FaceTime with other places, and it's making the story and the world bigger, but it's making the timeline a little difficult to follow, and we can go weeks without seeing the survivors,
right.
I don't know. I can't really tell what they're doing, but I know that, they're going to be apart. They're going to be split and fractured for a long time.
Well, like I said, I think, like I said, at the end of the season, probably the last 10 minutes, they'll kind of get together and go, okay, something's got to give.
Now, you mean the end of the actual season, like in the spring?
The mid-season.
Okay.
To kind of, and it could just be Rick meeting King Ezekiel for the first time, which should have an interesting effect on his psyche. Because, Rick has become so broken, and Ezekiel, even though he is under the Savior's thumb is not broken.
Yeah.
You know, he's biding his time and he's waiting.
Yep.
And I think Ezekiel might be what Rick needs to kind of get out of that funk a little bit. But, you know, all these groups, they all want the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Savior's gone.
Negan's
gone. And if they can start, and Negan's one big advantage right now is he keeps his group pretty much together and under iron control, while the rest of these little, you know, settlements are little. And, you know, they've only got, you know, 15 to, you know, 30, 50 people. And that's not enough to go against his group. But
well,
as we kind of spread
Oceanside, they are loaded with the ammunition. They have a lot of weapons.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, and there could even be, you know, because Eugene is going to start, and I know he is, going to start manufacturing bullets.
Yeah.
But they don't have any guns anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But these other places, they have guns, but they're running out of bullets.
Right.
And I think they're going to start trading and shoring each other up. And eventually, because they're kind of, all these settlements are kind of actually starting to surround, you know, the Saviors.
Right, right.
So, you know, they're kind of in the middle of this group. And as they, and like I said, his big advantage so far has been is there's been very limited contact between the groups. And it's been discouraged. But I think that that's going to change, and there is strength in numbers, obviously, on both sides.
Definitely.
And the other groups just need to realize that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have Daryl on the inside, and he's sticking it out, man. And I think he might start, you know, poking at that rotten core inside, you know, the group that he's in, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Now, I did not see the preview for next week's episode. Where are we next week? What group are we looking at next week?
You know, they had the preview, and it was interesting, and suddenly I'm drawing a blank, and I want to say, actually, I don't think it's, I think it actually might be Negan's group.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
There is just I saw it, and I don't know why I'm just drawing a blank. I can remember last week's preview perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, I kind of do hope that we get to check in with, you know, the Saviors
Daryl.
And find out what's going on with Daryl. I'd like to see him, you know, be, you know, kind of slick and turn people and do all kind of interesting things. He has the ability to do it. He can do it.
I mean, and he has that quiet strength.
Yeah.
And I mean, and simply by him refusing to bend knee to Negan, it's undermining Negan.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Negan even has to know this and why he's putting it. And I think Daryl has just become a challenge to him.
Yeah.
You know, I will break him because I'm stronger.
Right. But, you know, not even that. We're going to see, if we're going to the Saviors, we are going to see Carl, Crazy Self. Uh-huh. And we are going to see Jesus.
Jesus.
Right.
Oh, that was it. It was Jesus. And Jesus is on the back of the truck. And he's like, all right. He's like, I think we're getting close. We're going to have to jump. And Carl's like, what do you mean we're going to have to jump? He's like, just ignore everything the body says and just go with the fall and roll. That's what it was. So yeah, I'm pretty sure at this point it's going to be Jesus or Jesus and the Saviors, which is just, if you think about it, just really funny.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to see how that all comes together. Maybe they will find, you know, Daryl locked up. Who knows? Maybe they free him. I don't know. Anything is possible. Anything.
You know, I don't know at this point, by the way that Daryl was acting, that even if they could free him, if he would voluntarily go at this point. Because, again, it's become a contest of will between him and Negan, and I think he's just as stubborn as Negan is.
Well, in that case, I don't know if he's that smart. I mean, because if the door is open and he can walk out and he chooses to stay, I don't know what that says about him. I mean, because there's no guarantee.
Course of action?
Look, there's no guarantee. That's a risk.
Yeah, I know.
And if you have an out, why not take it?
I mean, but in this world, everything is a risk. everything is a risk. And if he leaves, he also knows that the first people that Negan is going to turn on is Alexandria.
Yeah, that's true.
We
all
so
know
if he
Rick
leaves,
is well, I don't know. Rick might, tuck his tail in and run and hide. He might. That's how he's feeling right now.
So, I mean, it's hard to say, but like I said, every day that Daryl does not bend a knee, Negan actually loses a little bit of fear.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of all of it. He has so far managed to break everyone, and it's fear, and it's that fear of pain and everything else, and everyone else is now looking at Daryl going, well, he's defying Negan, but he's still alive.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean,
by the skin of his teeth, but he's still alive.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a great existence. It is not a great existence.
Yep.
But, Daryl he's technically winning this particular, match of wills. And Negan is at this point committed, and he's going to see it through. I don't think he's ever going to kill Daryl out of hand, but he's going to, like a dog wearing a bone, I don't think he's going to be able to let it go.
Now, what's going to be interesting is if we go to the Savior's camp, and, we get lots of Carl, we get lots of Jesus, and we don't see Daryl once, or we see him in passing. Yeah. I know you're going to be like, oh, no.
Are you kidding me? We're finally back here, and this is all I get?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out. I still think that it's going to be a group effort. I think they're going to eventually, by the end of the season, they're going to, throw off the shackles of Negan. I think there's going to be an internal uprising because of Daryl. And I think that, and then, who knows, maybe Daryl becomes the leader of the Saviors, or Jesus becomes the leader of the Saviors, because that would just be bloody brilliant.
You know what? There's just so much going on and so many possibilities, and we never know the when. I mean, we know that the producers of The Walking Dead are excellent at misdirection. They have done that plenty of times. So while I'm with you, I think it will be a group effort that ends up taking Negan down ultimately. I'm not so sure how long it will take for these groups to converge together. I mean, I'm not sure. It may be at the end of the actual season, like in the spring.
Well, that's what I meant. By the end of the actual season, they'll not in 2 episodes. They're not going to do all that. But by the end of the season, the actual season finale, not mid-season. But I think that they will have gotten together. I think that they're going to work in secret. I think they're going to start passing needed supplies back and forth. I think that Eugene is going to start making bullets. And I think that they are going to end up running into the Oceanside group because they're going to need bullets. They have guns, but they're running out of ammo. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's going to start being a trade that's going to go on here. And they're going to start funneling in resources that they're going to hide from Negan's group.
See, I think some of that may happen, but I also think that there are going to be at least one more group that they introduce to us before the end of the season.
Oh yeah, and that's why I think that that through probably through the Kingdom they're going to bring in at least one more group, like on the other side of them or something. Mm-hmm. But I kind of have this vision of almost all of these groups almost like circling Negan, because he's going out in a circular direction, so he's going to have these satellites all the way around him. And I think if they get to the point where they realize, wait a minute, we know where Negan is, and we are literally surrounding him.
Yeah. Well, let's see if Carl can get out alive.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, online that this is, he's going to die, and that's going to be like the cliffhanger that he's going to get shot, and that'll be the end of Carl. But I don't know. I don't think Carl's going just yet.
Well, I mean, Carl's had two brushes with death, right? He's had, that first thing that, like, early on where he almost died when they were at the farm. And then, of course, when he got shot in the eye. I mean,
he's been shot several times. I think he's actually been shot more than almost any other character.
Yeah. Well, if he does die, that will definitely send,
Rick over the edge.
Yeah, he will go completely wild, probably. So,
he's put a lot of effort into keeping that kid alive.
Yeah.
Considerable effort. Blood, literally blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, literally.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Carl is going to die because I don't know. I don't think. I think he might get injured.
Mm-hmm.
He might end up losing a hand.
Mm-hmm.
But now that Jesus is with him, I don't think he's going to be as suicidal.
Let's hope not. He'll keep him in check, but that doesn't mean that he won't get busted or he won't have a confrontation with Negan that goes left. Anyway,
exactly. So it's hard to say, but I don't think he's gonna die just yet.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we're done with this week's episode.
Yes.
Are we done?
I think so. All right. Please do people comment and share and give us your theories and tell us what you think. If you have a different idea of where you think this is going, let us know. Let's see who's right.
Yeah, give us your feedback and we'll mull it over next week. If you have something interesting, we'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, and if you guys actually pick right, we'll put your name up on this, up there on the little blurb at the end of the season. You are right.
Yeah. Indeed. All right, you guys, that is it for today's live episode, and we'll talk to you next week. Before you go, please hit that follow button on Spreaker, the only place where you can listen live, or subscribe and listen later on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and the Spreaker app. Thanks for listening. Until next time, happy viewing. Bye, guys.
Bye.